Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about Madam Web, and this movie is directed by S.J. Clarkson and came out in 2024, starring Dakota Johnson, and I had quite a bit of fun with this movie, ironically speaking. But if we're talking seriously, then no, this is a terrible movie, like one of the worst movies I've seen in quite some time, but I gotta say, despite all the things that this movie got wrong, I was never bored. I was constantly engaged with it. I was just amazed at just where they were taking it and what was being shown. I was just in awe of like how bad this movie was, if that makes sense. Just from the opening scene alone, like it doesn't really have much of a tone. It's just established like the tragic backstory of Madam Web, and that's literally it. And all of the acting is terrible in this movie. I never once bought anyone in this movie as like characters. They just look like actors, and they don't really seem to be giving it much at all, really. It's kind of just like kind of there, but just waiting for a paycheck in a way. And Dakota Johnson, there are movies that I've seen with her in that I do like. Like, I love her in Suspiria. She's good in that movie, and Bad Times at the El Royale. Like, she's good in both of those movies, and I'm a fan of her. And I do feel as though she is kind of director-dependent in a way, because both of those movies are, like, really good. And those are also movies that are done by directors that I like, so maybe that's the case as to why she's good in those, or maybe it's just the script or what she has to work with. Not too sure on that, but wow, was she bad in this movie. There were scenes in this movie where I was just laughing at how little she cared, and she's just like, yeah, this movie's bad, and I'm aware of it, and I just want to get out of here. That's the impression I got the entire time, and apparently after this movie, she fired her agent for this movie, which is kind of funny. But going to the filmmaking of this movie is like really poorly shot, and you can see the intention of certain shots at points, but in execution they just fall completely flat. And the editing in this movie is pretty bad. Lots of cuts at points, especially towards the beginning, and it's almost incomprehensible at times. And that's really something that dragged this movie down for me. And the visions in this movie, because that's one of, in fact, Madam Web's one of her powers, or maybe her only power, whatever. But like, she can see the future, or at least manipulate the future, something. I have no idea. Anyways, that's something she can do, and she doesn't really know how to control it. And whenever that happens, the movie got kind of crazy in a way that I found to be pretty funny. And the dialogue in this movie was terrible, but that's kind of what makes it funny for me, is that it's completely unself-aware as to how bad it is, and like anything that would be done comedically in any other movie, this movie takes seriously, and it's really funny because of it. Like, I'm just, like I said earlier, just in awe of how seriously this movie is taking itself, and it just makes everything funny because of it. The characters in this movie are idiots, and I never once bought them as realistic characters, not just from the acting, but also the way the characters were written, and they were just written to be idiots, and they're all unlikable. There's no good characters in this movie. There were also some shots where like they were panning from left to right, and just for a few frames, the shot was like very pixely, and that was just so weird to me. Mostly because in any other movie that's at least $100 million budget movie, like a big budget movie, you would think something like that would not be in the movie. You would think that visually something like that wouldn't happen, or like no dead pixels or anything like that would not be occurring visually in the film. But it happened, and it happened at least twice in the movie. Also, the physics in this movie don't feel natural. Like it all feels like it's in a computer. Like things just like when they fall down, they just kind of go flat, like X-Men Origins Wolverine level of bad special effects in terms of like how physics work, and yeah, no momentum or anything. It just flat on the ground, and it's pretty funny to watch. And watching the villain get hit constantly when he's trying to go after our main group of characters, like he's running towards them, and then like a rock, something hits him to the side and goes boom. Like that happened quite a few times in the third act of this movie, and it was pretty funny. Just watching him get hit multiple times. And I'll say this much about the villain of the movie: he was pretty funny. Not in ways that it was intending to be funny, but I was never once bored by his presence, or anyone's presence, really. This movie was hilarious, terrible if it was trying to be a good movie, but all in all, I was not bored by this movie, and I knew going into it that it was going to be bad, because when the Oscars makes fun of this movie, you know that it's going to be bad. Like, if that's not an obvious sign that this movie is going to be bad, I don't know what is. And one other thing to mention about this movie is that this is taking place in its own universe, technically, if that makes sense. Like the Sony Spider-Man without Spider-Man universe, Sinister Six universe or whatever. And the first installment was Venom, then Venom Let There Be Carnage, then Morbius, and then we get this. This movie takes place in 2003, so technically it's a prequel. And that's something you need to keep in mind. And also, by the end of this movie, and this is something that I was not expecting, is that when the movie was over, I just realized, wow, this whole film was just a 2-hour-long trailer. And there was lots of setups, and like you're expecting like these three girls that Madam Web is protecting to like fight back in a really cool and awesome way in a really fun action scene. You don't even get that. You get visions of what they'll eventually become, or is at least planned to be, but you never actually get that. It's all just stupid, dumb, and nothing makes any sense throughout the entirety of the film, and yeah. So in the end, Madam Web, it was a disaster that I thoroughly enjoyed. And I will be watching this movie multiple times. I'm very happy that I got it on 4K, and it was a blast. I will be happily revisiting this movie and showing it to other people, letting them know that this movie is just cringe. And if you like cringe, then watch this movie. If you don't, then skip this movie. And with all that being said, I'm going to give Madam Web a 1 out of 10. But it was very funny, and if you like funny bad movies, watch it. Thank you for watching my videos. As always, if you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below you thought of Madam Web, and my social media links. They will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see you when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for Green Room, right here. So look forward to that, but until I get that up, thank you for watching and have a great day.